Do you ever feel overwhelmed by the ever-changing world of technology? Tech It Out can help make some sense of it all. Breaking down geek speak into street speak, technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman covers consumer technology each week for every listener. Mark tackles the latest news, reviews, and how-tos to help you understand what's hot, what's not, and why.
Hey everyone, welcome to Tech It Out, episode 431. Hope you're all doing great this February so far. Even if you were one of the hundreds of millions of people affected by the cold, phrases like polar vortex and bomb cyclone aren't anything we want to hear, am I right? Even in Toronto, where I live, we got like 2 feet of snow in one day the other week. Sheesh. Well, we have some hot tech to talk about to keep you toasty this hour at least, with 3 great guests. We're going to kick things off with a new wireless fence and tracker for dogs in the event your furry friend goes missing. Then we'll talk about a battery-based power generator in the event of an outage, speaking of inclement weather. And then we're going to chat about Dr. Jane Goodall's legacy 4 months after her passing and what the future holds for conservation. All of this and more on a brand new Tech It Out, powered by Norton and Visa, 2 brands that protect you, in fact. But we'll get to that in a little bit from now. But first, let's kick things off with our first interview. I love writing about pet tech, as there are some amazing innovations for pet owners, especially for dog lovers. And that includes some very practical products like virtual dog fences and tracking systems to keep your furry friends safe. But these high-tech collars are not created equal. Joining us to tell us about SpotOn Fence and the new Nova edition is Sung Vivathana. He's Chief Technical Officer at SpotOn. Nice to chat with you again, Sung. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Mark. Thank you for having me. We're super excited about our newest launch of Nova. Excited that we call it the best GPS fence in the market, and so happy to talk about it today.
Yeah, why don't we start there? What is the SpotOn Nova Edition collar all about? Brand new.
Brand new, yes. So obviously with all GPS technology and even in the pet space, there are 2 things that we really focus on: accuracy and reliability. Obviously, those are 2 key things that we really wanted to hit the mark on. And why do we do that? Obviously, we love our dogs, they're family members, and we want to have them be their best and be able to be outside and roam around and sniff around and explore their curiosities. Where does accuracy come in? Well, we want fair, clear boundaries that dogs can understand. And if those boundaries aren't defined well, then the dog gets confused. So when training, dogs learn best, obviously, when boundaries are consistent and fair. What Nova does is reduces GPS drift by 40% compared to other competitors in prior generations. We do that near tree cover, metal roofs, and complex terrain. So pretty much we design it to work anywhere. That's what we wanted. We wanted our family member, our dogs, to have clear warnings so that they could make the right choice before chasing after, that deer or that rabbit.
Right. All right. So let's take a step back for a moment, Sung, and just sort of at a high level discuss the concept of a wireless fence or invisible fence. And you've already touched on some of the key differences between SpotOn Nova Edition and its predecessors and competitors, which is higher accuracy. So we're talking here about a wearable dog collar that lets you set up an invisible barrier when you're out with your pet. It could be a summer home, a vacation property, even your own home. And instead of a physical fence, which could be expensive and there's HOA headaches, this lets you create a virtual fence by which you want the dog to stay inside. And should it get close to the perimeter, there are some various cues that, with the help of the videos that you have access to when you buy this dog collar, helps you train the dog to turn around and come back. And then we'll talk about the tracking in a moment if the dog breaches that invisible perimeter. But we're talking about a wireless dog fence, and that's the key benefit, right? You don't have to incur the cost of a physical dog fence, which is limited to that property that you installed it in.
That's right. Great point, Mark. So obviously, physical fences, as you mentioned, they're expensive and hard to maintain, and you may not be able to put one up based on HOA. Mm-hmm. There are other wireless fences that are buried in ground, which are limited. The more acreage that you need to have your dog roam around, the more costly it is.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. I forgot about the subterranean option that you can set up a perimeter with a physical wire.
Yep, that's right. And those are also hard to maintain because based on where you live and where I live, the seasons change and
That is for sure.
the ice,
As we're experiencing right now.
That's right. When winter comes around, things expand and contract in the ground and things break. And so those are kind of unreliable. And why we wanted to create this wireless solution was get rid of, those headaches, as you mentioned. And we wanted it to be configurable, highly configurable. And what we do with Nova and our predecessor product is be able to create fences by walking it. So you could actually set your boundary exactly where you want it. If you want your driveway out of the area where you want to keep out your dog, you could walk between your driveway and your yard, and you could actually see it and walk that line and be able to know that it works. And you could also draw it on the app as well. So if you have 10 acres, 20 acres, and you don't really care about where the boundary is, you could also do that as well. So it's highly configurable. And the other fact is that it's highly portable. So you could do it at your house. You could take your dog to the beach, friend's house, grandparents' house. What we wanted is to be highly portable. With the physical fence and the buried wire fences, you can't take those with you. And that's why we wanted to do this, to have people be able to take their dogs with them so that they can enjoy their dogs.
Got it. I know with some other GPS dog collars, other companies, they have a limit on how many wireless fences you can create, like 3 or 5 or something like that. Is that the case with SpotOn?
No, you could create pretty much as many fences as you need.
Love that.
From a little bit deeper value that you get with SpotOn is some of the other companies only allow you to create so many fence posts, which means that imagine like you just draw a square. Great, but not all properties are a square. So those are only 4 fence posts. With us, we allow up to 1,500, and you can walk curves, you can walk really tight lines, and that's what we offer. We offer a lot of flexibility in terms of let's contour this fence to your property, and that's what we set out to do.
Got it. All right, so this is the brand new SpotOn Nova edition with far greater accuracy, talking to more satellites above the Earth as well, if I'm not mistaken. Can you walk us through then how it works once you receive the product and the training that I alluded to?
Sure. When you receive the product, what you get is a nice looking box. You get really premium kind of open box experience, and that's what we set out to do.
And it's smaller than I thought it would be, by the way. I thought it was going to be a large collar until I opened the box. So what would be the minimum weight for the dogs to wear it?
We would probably recommend 25-pound dogs and up. My golden doodle, Henry, is roughly 25 pounds, and we use it on him, and it is no issue at all.
Thanks for that. Okay, so you get the collar, you set up an account, I guess, you download the app, and then you can either walk the perimeter of your property or use your finger on the app to draw a map itself, like the boundaries.
That's right.
And then how does it work? So when the dog gets close to the perimeter, and again, this is where the training comes in, does it have audible clues? Does it have tactile feedback?
So once you get the collar, you download the app, create an account, create your own fence. And what we highly recommend, obviously, is to train your dog. So before you train your dog, yes, once you build your fence, as you approach, and we recommend people test their boundary with the collar in their hand to make sure that they are satisfied with where the fence line is. So as you approach the fence line, roughly 10 feet from that fence line, you'll hear an alert tone. Once you get 5 feet from the boundary, you'll hear a warning tone. And then once you actually get to the fence line or the boundary, you will get a vibration, tactile feedback, or a static correction if you choose to do so. And that's totally optional. And so there's several warnings for the dog to hear and feel before they actually cross that boundary.
And you can also create no-go zones, right? Like if you are allowing your dog on, let's say you have a large property, but you don't want your pet to go near a garden, you can also have a boundary within the fence.
That is correct, Mark. You could have up to 6 of those. We call them keep out zones. But yes, a lot of our customers have large properties, farms, ponds in them that they don't want to let their dogs venture into. And so they could actually draw a keep out zone around that pond, or a bunch of brush that, may have things in there that might hurt their pet. So they could draw keep out zones, and it works the same way. As the dog approaches that boundary of that keep out zone, it works the same way. They get the alert tone, the warning tone, tactile feedback, and then eventual static correction if they opt to use it. So it's highly flexible, and we add a lot of value with those keep out zones because there are places where we know that owners don't want their dogs to venture into.
Got it. And then in the event your dog breaches the invisible boundary, none of the tones work, the tactile feedback, static correction.
Yes.
And that's not a shock collar. Let's just be clear. This is not what this is, correct?
Correct. Yes, that is correct.
But let's say the dog ignores those cues and he or she is curious, and now you're panicking because your dog is lost. So now talk to us about how to retrieve your dog using SpotOn.
So the first resource that you have, or the first action that takes place, is you get an alert on your phone that says your dog has left the containment area. And once you get that, you can start instantly tracking in real time where your dog is. So you'll have an image, an overlay of a map with your dog icon in the location where they are. And so that's one way you could go and figure out how to retrieve your dog. Second, kind of like belts and suspenders, is we have this kind of like callback function. So some other new features with Nova are like voice commands and whistle callback. So you could actually emit a whistle command to call your dog back, or play a voice that you previously recorded to say, Henry, come home.
Oh, I like that.
That's the value add with Nova, is that we've added those things so that if and when, and it's very rare that your dog escapes, you're given more tools to be able to call your dog back into safety.
More with SpotOn to learn about its latest dog collar when we return on Tech It Out. Stay with us.
Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want. Find the Tech It Out podcast at iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to Tech It Out. Before we continue chatting with SpotOn about its latest dog collar, a wireless fence and tracker called Nova Edition, I wanted to just give a quick shout out to Norton, the title sponsor on this program, Tech It Out. In today's connected world, a simple antivirus isn't enough. Your identity, your finances, and your privacy are all on the line. That's why you need Norton 360 with LifeLock, the comprehensive solution that bundles device security and identity theft protection. Tech It Out has proudly partnered with Norton as they protect your PC, Mac, and mobile devices from viruses, ransomware, and other kinds of malicious software, while LifeLock takes it a step further, constantly monitoring for the fraudulent use of your personal info, from your social security number to your bank accounts. If a threat is detected, you receive an alert. If the worst happens and your identity is stolen, a dedicated US-based identity restoration specialist will be there to personally help fix it. Plus, with its $1 million protection package, you get coverage for stolen funds and expenses. Norton 360 with LifeLock gives you the power to defend your entire digital life. Stop patching together protection. Get the all-in-one peace of mind you need with Norton 360 with LifeLock. You can get a discount by going to norton.com/techitout. That's norton.com/techitout. We are chatting with Sung Vivathana. He's CTO at SpotOn. These are the folks behind the SpotOn fence dog collars that let you create a wireless fence instead of a physical one to keep your furry friend inside of that boundary. Let's say the dog is inside. He or she goes into a neighbor's property indoors, or heaven forbid, but your dog is taken and they're brought indoors, kept in a basement somewhere. Now, GPS isn't going to work indoors. So is there a cellular component to this as well? GPS needs line of sight with satellites above the earth, right? So once you're not outdoors, what would happen? Just playing devil's advocate here.
No problem. I love that, actually. With Nova, we've added this super, kind of what we call like triple threat hardware system. So yes, you're correct. You need line of sight to the GPS satellites. So if that were if that were to happen, our system has what's called a dual band, dual feed active antenna. We have a dual band GPS receiver, and the antenna itself has probably the largest surface area in the pet space in terms of containment systems and trackers. And what does that mean? Well, that means that even if your dog is in a basement in a 3-level home, we'll still be able to get the course location of the dog and be able to have the person find and be able to locate that dog. Wow. And that's what we strive to do. Because of that sensitivity, we're actually still able to detect signals even in that particular scenario.
Impressive. Before we wrap up, Sung, and talk costs and how we get going, what do you think is the biggest misconception when it comes to these wireless dog fences like SpotOn Nova Edition? I mean, is there like one thing you keep hearing about from dog owners that are, pardon the pun, on the fence about these kinds of products that isn't true, that you just want to state for the record?
Sure. I mean, so there are a bunch of misconceptions, Mark. Like it's still a new category, to be honest. We're still a relatively young company. Biggest misconception is like understanding the technology and how it works. It's hard to explain to folks how it works and how well it works and how it compares to other products in the market. So what we like to talk about is it's easy enough to figure out what road you're on, but what we like to do is figure out what side of the road you're on, because you don't want to be on both sides of the road. Obviously, that's dangerous. We want to be able to receive all the signals that are available. When I mentioned dual band receiver earlier, we're receiving all signals available for this particular product and products in the market. And what does that mean? That means, like, think about your car stereo system. You have AM and FM. Some of the other products in the market only receive AM radios. We receive both AM and FM. So that's how we kind of try to educate our users or potential customers. And really, like, how do we explain reliability and accuracy, and what does that mean to them? Well, that means that on a busy road, if you have a busy road by your home, you want that fence line not to move and want it to be accurate and be able to provide those alert tones, warning tones, and corrections when needed, because the last thing you want is your dog to venture into a busy road.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we don't need, and a lot of devices now are connected, whether Wi-Fi or cellular. With our device, you don't need cellular connectivity for the fence to work. We work autonomously without cellular, whereas some of the other products out there, you need to have cellular for it to work. So that's another misconception. And the last thing I want to mention is a lot of people want instant gratification, which means they turn the collar on, put it on their dog, and they just expect it to work. Well, that's not true. That's the set it and forget it mentality. And it's unfortunate because it's like anything else new, like, learning how to drive, learning how to ride a bike. You have to be trained, or you have to go through some level of training. When you potty train your dog, you have to train your dog to do that. So there's no such thing as set it and forget it. And once they get it, they get it. Like, it works.
Right.
That's what we like to talk about, is train your dog, spend time with your dog, build a great relationship, because that's what it does. The more time you have with your dog, the better the relationship and the experience.
All right, Sung, so how much does SpotOn Nova Edition cost, and how do we get going?
So it is $9.99 with no hidden fees or extra fences or subscriptions required. You go to www.spotonfence.com. We just talked about training. We offer every customer free one-on-one dog training, 30-minute sessions with some of the best trainers.
And that seems to be one of the other differentiating features of this product, the fact that there's no subscription fee, because I know that some of your competitors very much require a monthly cost to keep it going.
That's right.
So that's great. All right. So SpotOnFence.com. Our guest has been Sung Vivathana. Great to chat with you, Sung. Thanks so much for your time. All the best.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate your time.
We chat about battery backup generators that don't require gas when we return on Tech It Out. Stay with us.
Want to follow Mark? Google him. Mark with a C and Saltzman with a Z. Breaking down geek speak into street speak. This is Tech It Out. Tech It Out with technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman.
Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to Tech It Out. Especially given some of the nasty weather, power outages are not an uncommon occurrence these days. And so how do you keep your large appliances going, like a refrigerator, so your food doesn't spoil, or small appliances like lights or a CPAP machine? Well, this is where Anker SOLIX products come in. Plus, there are other applications for this technology. Joining us to share what's new from the company, we're joined by David Taylor, solutions expert at Anker SOLIX, based in Houston. Hi, David. Thanks for your time today.
Hi, Mark. Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Excellent. Anker is probably best known for its power banks for smartphones and tablets and earbuds and all that. But with that in mind, tell us about Anker SOLIX. And for our listeners, it's spelled S like Sam, OLIX.
Yeah, so Anker SOLIX is a brand from Anker Innovations. Anker started in 2011, so we're coming up on our 15th year. And like you said, most people know us from our battery banks, our phone chargers, mobile accessories like that. That's where we got our start. So we use that as a foundation and kind of expanded from there, especially on the battery side. So we went from phone chargers to battery banks, all who started doing the portable power stations. And over the years, the batteries just got bigger, bigger, bigger. We've gotten to the point today where we have portable power stations that can power almost everything in your entire house, as well as permanently installed batteries for people that want to have that little bit extra and make sure that they have enough power to do everything that their house has.
Good to know. I probably know less about the permanent battery solutions for a home. I know some other companies have a similar thing where in the event of a power outage, you can keep all your appliances going, as I hinted at off the top. But there's also portable ones that are, I call them generators. They're battery generators, but you call them power stations. I get that. And we'll talk about the difference between gas and battery in a moment. But just to be clear, these are what your solutions are used for primarily in the event of an outage, but they can also be used while like camping or RVing and so on.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, it's going to vary a little bit from location to location, person to person. But to me personally, they're mainly for backup. I'm in an area that's affected a lot by grid outages, so I want to have power when the grid's not going to be able to provide that. But like you said, especially on the portable side, they also give customers a lot of other options, like being able to take these on the road, being able to take these camping. A lot of these are able to actually hook directly up to your RV. So if you have an RV, you can actually power the appliances directly with the portable power station.
So turning your camping experience into a glamping one. when the kids want to be pampered with TV and phones and music and all the other conveniences and amenities that we're used to with urban life. Yeah. Under the tent as well. Love it. Okay.
Right.
Since these power stations or battery-based generators don't take gas, how do you charge up the Anker SOLIX products? You mentioned an RV can do it, but assuming you don't have one.
Mm-hmm. Right. For all of the portable power stations, the easiest way to do it is just plug it into any wall socket, wait for it to fully charge. It won't take that long. And then you can kind of stow it away in a closet until the grid goes down or any other time you want to use it. A lot of models, though, are able to be integrated with solar. So whether that means you buy portable solar panels and plug them directly into the portable power station, or maybe you have an existing solar system on your roof, we do have accessories that will allow you to interface with that and charge the batteries with your solar. And then we are getting to the point where you said you couldn't charge these with gas, but we're kind of getting there because a lot of these are getting to the point where you can charge them if you have a portable generator or even sometimes a standby generator.
Yeah, that's good to know. I meant more about the differences between the Anker SOLIX products, which is like a giant power bank, opposed to, I'm sure a lot of our listeners own gas-based generators. So there's a lot of benefits to having the SOLIX brand because they're not smelly, they're not noisy. You can use them indoors. Those are three downsides to gas-based generators.
That's completely fair. You know, one of the big points that I really hit on when I'm talking about battery versus generator is a lot of people, they try to run these generators out of their garages. So that means they have to keep their garage door open, which, you know, when nighttime comes, that's not a very comfortable thing to do, especially if your garage is attached to the house. Mm-hmm. It's a bit of a safety issue.
Yeah.
Having the battery option allows you to keep all the doors closed and locked and make sure your house is powered.
I have a lot of listeners who live in condos and apartments, and so they can use this there too, unlike a gas-based generator.
Correct. Yeah. That's okay. Not really a feasible option for them.
Not a safe one or legal one. Yeah, fair. And what, David, has been Anker SOLIX's best-selling product over the past, say, year, and why do you think that is?
Yeah, so our best seller has been the 3800 and the 3800 Plus. That's our flagship portable power station. That's the largest one we sell. Most portable power stations are great if you just want to do like your 120 volt appliances, you know, TV, phone, refrigerators, usually the biggest thing you want to plug into it. But if you have someone that needs a little bit more, this does have 240 volt output.
Oh, wow.
So they have that as well.
And how many plugs, typical AC plugs or also USB-C, USB-A ports on that product, your flagship product? Like how many things can you plug into it at the same time?
Yeah, so it's got the 240 volt outlet. If you have a 240 load, it's got 6 AC outlets.
Oh, wow.
And then
6.
it has on the front, it has a few USB-C for rapid charging and a USB-A for just a regular connection if you have like a laptop.
And this thing weighs a couple pounds, right? Has handles on each side.
Yeah, it's a bit on the beefier side. Like I said, it's our biggest, most powerful, but it does have wheels. It has a collapsible handle on the top, so you can kind of use it as like a roller luggage to draw a comparison. And then if you have to lift it up, like say in the back of your pickup truck or something, there's actually a foldable handle that's on the bottom that helps you pick it up too.
Okay, my Anker SOLIX product, I can't recall the model number, has handles on each side, but no wheels. So it's a smaller solution. But I have it charged up in the event I need it. How many months or years can you keep it charged up? Because you don't know when that power outage is going to come.
It depends on temperature and environment. But the good thing about these products is it's really easy to tell how charged they are because, one, they'll hold their charge for a long time. And two, if you ever are unsure of it, if they have the display on the front, you just press a button, it lights up, it tells you exactly how fully charged it is. And three, as a bonus, a lot of these are Bluetooth connected to your phone. So if you have our Anker app, you can actually monitor the SoC through there.
Oh, cool. We're going to be right back with more Anker SOLIX after this break. But just a side note, and speaking of power outages, don't forget to properly back up your important files on a regular basis. You don't want your laptop or desktop to die when you're in the middle of something important. So I always recommend SanDisk, whether it's a USB drive, a solid state drive, even a little micro SD card plugged into the side or back of your PC, just in the event of something happens. SanDisk is a partner of mine on this program, and they have some amazing sales at sandisk.com. That's sandisk.com. All right, we'll be right back with more Tech It Out. Stay with us.
Breaking down geek speak into street speak. Tech It Out, hosted by Mark Saltzman.
Welcome back to Tech It Out, powered by Visa. If you're just joining us now, chatting with David Taylor, solutions expert at Anker SOLIX, to learn about their products. A range of portable, gasless power stations and solar panels, and there's home energy storage systems as well, all designed to provide reliable, sustainable energy for both outdoor use and household backup power. Can I ask you, David, why Anker SOLIX compared to other brands that also have battery-based generators? There are some competitors, right? Oh
yeah, there's a lot of competitors. It's a very crowded space, a lot of different brands competing. But the big thing that sticks out to me is customer support. At the end of the day, we have a battery, 20 other brands have a battery. There's a little things that make up the difference between the products themselves. But at the end of the day, a battery is a battery. So the big thing to me is customer support, which, being the established company, like I said before, we've been around for almost 15 years now. We're an established brand. We're a trusted brand. Customer support's really big. So having that lifeline is the big difference maker to me. And also, we do a lot of community support work. So at the beginning of the show, you mentioned the big winter storm that came through. Mm-hmm. So we're actually donating 30 PPS units to local law enforcement and first responders in the Texas area. So we're reaching out to 4 of the hardest hit counties and donating 30 units so they can keep their devices powered and their lights on while they try to clean up the mess and help people out with whatever jams that they're in.
That's awesome. I'm a big fan of Anker products, as well as some of the sister brands like IFAW for smart home devices and Soundcore for audio. It's good to see that company doing well. SOLIX is the brand we've been talking about here. Anker SOLIX, SOLIX. In your opinion, what do you think is the biggest misconception or misperception about these kinds of battery-based generators? Is there one thing people keep asking you about?
Yeah, I've actually got 2 for you on this one. First one is, when talking to people about batteries, one of the big questions is, well, why should I replace my generator with this? And the answer is you shouldn't. So it's not battery first generator anymore. It's battery and generator. So we're getting to the point where a lot of these can tie in together and work together. So we have systems that you can charge the battery with the generator. You can have them work in tandem, things like that. And even if you don't want to do that, that's fine. You can still keep one or the other as a backup for your backup. So I'm not asking you to replace your generator if you have one. I'm not saying that this is the superior version. Each product has its own strengths. Each product has its own weaknesses, and you can use both of them to kind of cancel each other's weaknesses out. So that's one big misconception to me, is that we're trying to replace the generator game when we're not. Two is a lot of people will see a price tag, or they just say the value's not there. And to me, that's just people not being familiar enough with the technology and how to use it yet, because the cost itself is reducing as the tech becomes more and more efficient. A lot of brands are starting to do the direct-to-consumer route, which helps cut down on costs. But once you actually have the product and have it installed, if it requires an install, there's a lot of ways you can get a return on your investment. A lot of people are doing free nights plans, so they'll charge the battery from the grid for the night for free, and then they can run the house off battery during the day. A lot of people who have solar live in areas where maybe their utility company won't let them completely offset their bill of their solar, so they'll kind of do the opposite. They'll charge the batteries with the sun for free and then run the house on battery at night.
Both of those are really great ideas. And I've heard people running their home off of the battery on high peak times and then charging it back up in low peak times and then doing the same thing the next day. I love that. Great idea. Now, before I ask you where we can learn more about how to do things like that and where to buy your products, is there anything that Anker SOLIX is stoked about for this year? Any one product that maybe made its debut at CES or anything that we should keep our eyes on?
Yeah, we actually did debut our new product at CES. So our new product is the Anker SOLIX E10. It's our first step into our new line, which we call the Effortless series. I've kind of personally been dubbing it the Swiss Army knife of backup. It is a modular battery system. It will be a permanently installed battery system. It's going to be our strongest one yet. So it is designed for a whole home, but since it is modular, you can kind of customize it to whatever you need. The Swiss Army knife comparison, what I'm getting at by that is it's one of the most flexible systems out there in terms of charging. If you have an existing AC grid-tied solar system, charge it with that. If you have a DIY DC solar system that you made in your backyard, charge it with that. If you have a portable generator, charge it with that. If you have a standby generator, you can charge it with that. One of the accessories that we'll be selling with it is an Anker branded smart generator. So it's a portable generator that you can control with your phone. It will send you alerts and monitors and things like that.
This all sounds great, David. Where can we learn more about that E10 and other models?
Definitely. So easiest way would be just go to our website, ankersolix.com. And if you'd rather talk to someone on the phone, prefer to call someone and talk to someone, reach out anytime at 1-800-988-5541. AnkerSolix
is how you spell it. David, it's been great chatting with you. Thanks so much for carving out some time to talk. And it looks like it's going to be a big year again for your 15th year. Thanks again, David.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks for having me. It was fun.
Before we take a short break, just a quick shout out to Visa. Did you know that shoppers are 3 times more likely to enter an unfamiliar store if it displays a Visa logo? And customers are 5 times more likely to think a merchant is reputable. This is because Visa has invested billions over the years in fraud prevention, so you don't need to think twice about shopping at retail or online with your Visa card. To learn more about Visa's work in protecting you and your purchases, head on over to visa.com/security. That's visa.com/security. When we return on the program, we learn about the future of conservation following the passing of Jane Goodall. We'll be right back.
Follow Mark Saltzman on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Listen to Check It Out whenever you want.
Dr. Jane Goodall's passing on October 1st left many wondering what's next for conservation. To explore this, we're joined by Azzedine Downes, President and CEO of the International Fund for Animal Welfare, or IFAW for short, who was a close friend of the late, great Jane Goodall and a member of Jane's Council for Hope. Azzedine is here to share with us how we can carry on her legacy. Thank you for joining us, Azzedine. Good to talk to you.
Thanks for having me.
I am looking forward to this chat. I should tell you, I recently sat down with the Jane Goodall Institute's chief scientist, Dr. Lillian Pintia, on all the ways technology is used in Jane's 6 decades of work and going forward. And now I'm looking forward to chatting with you about your focus, conservation. At a high level, what do you believe is the most important part of Dr. Goodall's message?
We start with hope, and that hope is not just a feeling, it's a strategy for change. With the passing of someone as incredible as Jane, the question on my mind is whether people will listen to that message with such intensity as when she delivered it. Mm-hmm. Jane asked me and the Council for Hope to turn that hope into action.
Yeah, the messenger is very much part of the influence. Because Jane is no longer with us, everyone else is now carrying the baton. So for people listening who feel overwhelmed by climate anxiety, what does hope actually look like in action today?
People can feel overwhelmed because they want to take on every problem at once. Actions must be translated into small steps. So being hopeful and spreading the message of positivity is a step in the right direction. It's something everyone can do. So don't give up. Change is possible.
That's a good point. It may be an easier task to compartmentalize it all and approach it at a micro level. Now, animals like chimpanzees were very central to Dr. Goodall's work and legacy, and to your work as well. Why do you believe animals remain one of humanity's greatest sources of hope?
Many animals love unconditionally, and that's why humans have the relationship that they have with their pets. In fact, you may be surprised that Jane's favorite animal was her dog and not a chimpanzee. There's an innocence about wildlife. They have a place in nature just as humans do. So the connectivity we share with animals across the globe on so many levels must not be underestimated.
Can you share with us, Azzedine, an example of how your work is creating real, measurable change on the ground?
Sure. Historically, people have been removed from the conservation equation. It's still a challenge to convince policymakers and scientists that conservation is about human behavior. Here at IFAW, our mission is animals and people thriving together in the place we call home. So, for example, in Kenya, we support women's cooperatives, small business development, and education so that the people who live alongside wildlife actually see the economic benefits to protecting the animals. So it begins with respect and resources for those communities to live safely.
Giving that community lots of opportunity outside of anything that could threaten the wildlife there for monetary gain, if I'm reading between the lines as well a little bit here. We are chatting with Azzedine Downes. He is president and CEO of IFAW, the International Fund for Animal Welfare. We're chatting about Dr. Jane Goodall's work and carrying it forward with her absence. What is one meaningful action, if I may ask you, big or small, that we can take to honor Dr. Goodall's legacy?
The one thing they can do is believe in the message of hope. Once they feel positive about the future, there are many small things that they can do. Go into nature, experience it. Nature has healing powers. Listening to the wind, gazing upon and listening to running water, listening to leaves rustling in the trees. These are all healing. Right now, the world is chaotic and we need calm. Our planet can indeed protect us if we let it. The world in which we live is not a patient place, but nature is indeed very patient.
I like that. And very optimistic. As you touched on, it's a crazy time right now. It sounds like we need this work more than ever.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask you where we can learn more in a moment, but because this is a tech show, I think it would be remiss for me not to ask you if you leverage technology at your organization at IFAW.
No, we absolutely do. We use GPS tracking, for example, on collaring elephants so that we know where the elephants are going. We do a lot of work in combating wildlife crime, and so there's a lot of tech involved in communications and intelligence work that is designed to prevent poaching. And so what's on my mind right now is AI and how we might be able to use that to anticipate wildlife crimes so that we stop it before it happens. So we're on the cutting edge of that and much to do, but tech is a really important part of a lot of what we do.
Fascinating. I agree. It's an important tool in your arsenal. Well, thank you so much, Azzedine, for your time and for your insight. Where could we go for more info?
Yes, you can find more information at ifaw.org, IFAW.org, and I just wanted to say thank you for having me.
Pleasure. Thank you again, and keep up the great work. All the best.
Thank you.
And thank you, Tech It Out listeners, for tuning into the program. Hope you enjoyed it this week with our 3 different guests and topics. A huge thank you to Visa and Norton for your support. And I look forward to catching up with y'all next week for another new episode of Tech It Out. Bye-bye for now. Ciao.